You asked what I thought would make for the best society. And obviously, when we talk about best, we've got some immediate problems that we're going to have to deal with. So rather than address the question of a best society, I think I'll tackle the question of what we could do to make a better one. And I hope, by nature of the principles that I outlined, a society that is capable of continually bettering itself, that manages to escape the stagnation of classical civilizations that, in pursuit of a single principle, eventually found the resources, the inventive fuel of those principles eventually exhausted, if only for a want of new ways to recombine them. I think a better society, a preferable society, is one that is just. Now, on its face, that's a fairly obvious statement, and it has an equally obvious implication that in order for a society to be just, it must not require injustice in order to function. A society cannot be considered truly just if those principles which it believes are universal to human character and human nature, and the implied liberties that those would grant, are extended to some at the expense of the denial of those liberties to others. A society that requires a continual system of uneven trades, radical centralization of freedom, of liberty, of opportunity, of ability to address very basic needs. A society that requires this, that requires that some have more than they need, and that others have less than they need, cannot be said to be just. And this statement also has an obvious implication, that before we can even begin to seriously investigate the question of how we would order a society in such a way that systemic iniquity was not required for its most basic functions, we must believe that it is possible to order a society in such a way that these iniquities are not necessary. Our literature, our philosophy, our written log of our progression as a culture is fraught with examples of the unquestionability of the inevitability of poverty, of the inevitability of the existence of poverty, of injustice, of uneven measure in what a society grants and asks of its citizens. And if we are to seriously pursue the question of addressing the wrongs and redressing the wrongs and preventing the systematically mandated iteration of an entire new generation of wrongs and perhaps an entirely new character of wrongs, we must seriously ask if we are willing to at least entertain the possibility that it is possible to have a society in which no one dies of hunger, in which poverty is not a major contributor to an early death. It seems to me that we've been so afraid of getting caught in some sort of starry-eyed idealism that in order to avoid it, we have shut off hope entirely. We have become very self-justifying cynics. And here we find the prophecy that there will be poor always among us is very self-fulfilling in this way.